Let's fucking go. We're here. Let's go. All right, everybody, welcome to the Terrible DGAF show. I am one of your pristine hosts, Caleb the Goat.
Already. And you know, you got me in the bed, you know what I'm saying? D Gray coming with the heat with some stellar football coming up right now, which, by the way, before we get started, I always want to recognize the holiday season. I want to say Merry Christmas to the ones that we didn't get to say Merry Christmas to, you know what I mean, around the world. So happy holidays, and let's get into some stellar talk.
Unless your favorite Christmas movie isn't The Grinch with Jim Carrey, then we recant our statement.
well, I gotta argue that my favorite Christmas movie is just a little bit on the black side here. Next Friday or Friday after next. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies for all times.
That's the one with Terry Crews, right?
Yeah. And Cat Williams. Yeah, definitely. Stellar movie.
But to start off, our guy Derwin Gray has some big news.
Oh man. Appreciate it. Wasn't expecting this, but you know, man, I'm returning back to football. I mean, not to the Steelers that we all wish it would be, but returning this spring to go to the USFL to participate in some spring league football with the Birmingham Stallions this year. We'll be blocking for my guy Bo Scarborough this spring, and I'm excited to get up there, man, with Bo and the guys, and you know what I mean. Get my name back on the map of where it should be and where it should stay at. You know what I mean? Just get some more film underneath my belt. But I'm excited to lace it back up, man. And football's always been my love. I'm excited to go do it again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to think, the Cowboys punt returner, Turbin. He was in the USFL last year, and now he's a Pro Bowler. So, you know, it's a stepping block in the right direction.
Definitely, man. USFL put out a lot of good players, you know what I mean? It was an ego thing at first, man. I was like, man, I'm not no USFL player, but it's talent all around the board, you know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes the NFL could be so, you know what I'm saying, caught up in their own thing sometimes that, you know what I mean, you don't want to miss your opportunity because you're so hung up on your ego about whatever the case might be. So I'd rather go out there and get that film and get my name back out there and then, you know what I'm saying, hopefully be back at Steelers training camp come July next year.
Oh yeah. Big things coming. He's going to win the USFL championship this year, so watch out for
it. Definitely.
But to now that we had that exciting news this past week, you know, obviously the Steelers played the Raiders, and it was the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and Franco Harris's jersey was set to be retired, and sadly he passed away. I believe it was last Wednesday or Tuesday. But
definitely, man.
Just horrible timing. You never want to lose somebody like that. The impact he made on the community in Pittsburgh for those 50 years up until, you know, the day he passed away. I mean, hours before he passed away, he was still helping the community. He was out there. I forgot what exactly they were doing, but he was with Pat Fryermuth and Naj and all of them doing something to help the community.
Definitely, Franco was definitely a pillar to the Steelers community. You know what I mean? Way beyond what he did in between those white lines. I think that's something that's crazy that a lot of players that go on after football don't really do. You know what I mean? Some guys stick around, some don't. You know what I mean? But Franco always been a guy that's always been around. Him and Charlie Batch, those are two guys I always seen a lot. You know what I mean? I ain't have a lot of time to spend with Franco while I was in Pittsburgh. I think I met him my rookie year, and we was doing like a Segway tour, and he came and gave us like a little speech or something at this little dinner we had, and so it was a good guy. You know what I mean? You always heard about Franco and the Immaculate Reception and things like that he done, and I just think I take my hat off to him, man. I think he had a great career on the field, but most importantly, he had such a big impact in the community off the field. And I think that's just what really breaks the heart most for people is not what he did on the field, is what he did off the field. And they're going to be able to miss his presence and the things he does off the field.
Yeah, and then, you know, people, talking about, like, if you talk about his playing days, he was 6'2", 230. Like he could have still played. Like if you put the 70s Franco in this day and age, he could still play.
Definitely. I mean, when you look at some of his stats, man, I mean, come on, man. He had 91 career TDs with the Steelers. You know what I mean? Literally 50 yards shy of 12,000 yards of rushing for the Steelers. You know what I mean? Drafted in 72, 9-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro selection. You know what I mean? Rookie of the Year in 72, Super Bowl 9. That's show the age. Super Bowl 9 MVP, Hall of Fame in 1990. I mean, the guy had a stellar career. I mean, it's evident what he done on the field was just tremendous all around the world, all around the game. Everyone respect him. I mean, when he passed away, I mean, I was in Buffalo Wild Wings, getting a bite to eat, and it was just on all TVs, all different networks. I mean, and people showing love to Franco. So I mean, the numbers speak. I mean, you got to respect the guy. You know what I mean? And I think the Steelers definitely did that this week. While one getting a win. You know what I mean, with a worthy opponent like the Raiders, definitely getting a win to honor him. And also being a retired jersey, man, I mean, he deserves that. I mean, especially not just for him, his family deserves that as well, to keep his legacy moved on through generations.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, like even that halftime show, and we'll get more into the game towards the end of the show, but this is more towards Franco right now. And just, I mean, winning that the Steelers are used to the past 50 years, it all started with Franco. He was the reason why they won their first playoff game in the team history. Led them to 4 Super Bowls. He's the all-time Super Bowl rushing leader. I mean,
Definitely.
It's you can't replicate it.
I mean, he's a big-time person, player, everything, father figure, everything, mentor for the Steelers program. I mean, he's epitome of what Steelers has always preached. I mean, from my time being a great citizen in the community, being a hell of a player, hard working, work your ass off every day. I mean, he's epitome of exactly what the Steelers community and coaches and all the people in the front offices are looking for in a player and a person outside of football. So, I mean, Franco, to once again take your hat off to it. He's almost like a perfect athlete on and off the field. And he deserves everything that came his way. He lived a great life. I mean, it was cut too soon for a lot of us because we all wish that Franco could come around and do a little bit more around the community because everyone loves his presence around. But, I mean, hey, man, I can honestly say he went out with a bang.
Yeah, for sure. And then where was I going to go with that? I was going to go somewhere with that whiskey's hit. The whiskey's hitting.
That's that Franco going through here. It's that emotional wave is going through here with Franco, and then he just took your thoughts right out your head because there's just so much you could talk about when it comes to Franco.
Yeah, no, I remember what I was going to say now. It was the tribute that the team did, like with Cam running out with the 32 flag. You know, Freiermuth coming up with the idea for everybody to wear a Franco jersey going into the game, giving the game ball to his wife. I mean, they couldn't have hit they couldn't have hit the nail on the head even more.
Yeah, and I think I said once again, I think that they did a hell of a job, man, honoring the guy, man. They did a hell of a job honoring him, and I mean, it's no more that you can ask for as a family of a Hearst family that you can want more out of the Steelers. I mean, they honored him at the top notch, and I mean, retiring his jersey, and I'm assuming they're gonna put something in the stadium to represent him as well, because once again, like, it's gonna be big for the community to see 32 every time they come into Acrisure Stadium every week. You know what I'm saying? To see the Steelers play and seeing some part of that history, and Franco always been there.
Yeah, and for any Steeler fans who do watch the show for whatever reason, just so you know, retiring a Steelers jersey is a big deal because Franco was the 3rd person in their history.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So who's the other 2 guys? I know Ben is coming.
I don't know. They didn't retire Terry Bradshaw's jersey. He's got 4 Super Bowls. I mean, I would think Ben should be retired. So they do this thing where they so they don't officially retire jerseys, but you're never gonna see somebody wear number 36. You're never gonna see somebody wear number 7 again. Or I don't know if we've seen anybody wear 86. I know when AB got out of there was somebody wearing 84 the next week.
Well, AB's a little different situation, which is arguably, well, in my eyes, regardless of the situation. I mean, you don't want to take this from Franco, because we get back to Franco, but AB's arguably the best receiver to walk through Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, no,
in our eyes, I
100%.
think he was definitely arguably the best receiver. You know what I'm saying, to come through there. So if he could kept his head on straight and kept his mind right and kept his pride and just a little bit more, I mean, the 84 definitely would be a number that we talked about to be retired at some point in this year. You know what I mean? One year is coming whenever he was done playing. But that could be only a wish for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, that man's a piece of work, but I mean, his tenure in Pittsburgh, he was definitely, if he would have continued with Pittsburgh, he probably would have finished as,
phenomenal athlete.
I don't know if he would have surpassed Jerry Rice, but he would have been damn close.
He would have definitely been surpassed every receiver that walked through there, though, including Hines.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now we'll kind of segue into our next topic. The season's starting to wind down, come to an end. There's
before we jump there, though, I got one more question for you, though, Kate. I mean, before we get there, I mean, this is a quick question I want to share out there, Kate. So I mean, Steelers has been known for their rushing attack over the years, and the Steelers have always put on a great ground attack over the years. When you think of football, you think of the Steelers, and you think about their, I don't know how you want to put this, but their amazing backfield over the years. Would you consider Franco the best rusher to ever walk through Pittsburgh, to ever touch between those lines, and Hines at the time? Because you got great backs there, man. I mean, it was a hard question for me leading up to this talk here. I was just thinking, who is the best back to ever walk through Pittsburgh, to ever come through Hines Field at the time? And I'm thinking about all the Steelers right now. As you look at on paper right now, the Steelers all-time rushers are Franco at number 1, Jerome Bettis at number 2, Willie Parker at number 3, Le'Veon, L. Bell, my guy, at 4, and John Henry Johnson. And all those guys has been, on paper, incredibly running backs for Steelers history. So my question to you, Cave, I mean, I know the fans will probably want to know, what do you think? Like, who's the best back to ever walk through here? Because there's guys on this list that's on this list, but there's other guys that's left out off this list.
That's tough. I mean,
I love
Franco meant so much to the city and what he did. And I mean, like we said before, he started the winning tradition. But I started watching football. Our running back was, the bus. The wheels on the bus go round and round. And I mean, that man meant that was my first jersey. It was Jerome Bettis jersey.
Right.
And I mean, that's tough. I mean, they're both. It's going to be Franco or it's going to be Franco or Bettis. They're both Hall of Famers.
Right.
It's man.
It's a tough question.
I gotta give it. I gotta give it. I still gotta go Franco. Just he's got the 4 Super Bowl rings. He started the winning tradition in Pittsburgh. I mean,
I hope you're not choosing Franco for the immaculate reception.
No, he started the winning tradition. He made Pittsburgh believe that they could win. And I mean, I've watched a lot of great running backs since I started watching Steelers football, between Jerome, Fast Willie, which actually the town I grew up in North Carolina, for the 12 years I lived there, that's around the area Willie Parker was from. And he always hosted free camps out there all the time.
I mean, it's just a stellar list that I have here that's just great all-time rushing leaders. You know what I mean? But it's still guys that's left off the list that I can't even talk about. D'Angelo Williams, great back.
Yes, he was.
Deuce Staley, a big heavy back like himself. Yeah, I mean, he was a big back. Deuce Staley.
He was. He had a lot of, because his first year was the year I started watching football, and luckily my first year watching football was Ben's rookie year. I think I was like 9 at the time, or about to turn 10. But I mean, yeah, I was blessed to be able to watch, Jerome Bettis. Deuce Staley had injury problems, but whenever he was healthy, he was a monster. And then Willie Parker came out of nowhere. We had L. Bell. Like you said, L. Bell and D'Angelo Williams, that was a filthy backfield.
And that was going to lead to my next question. Do you think that Najee right now, Najee and James Warren is like, how you say, Steelers' best duo combination? Or would you give it to L. Bell and was it Willie Parker? L. Bell it was L. Bell
L.
and
Bell and
D'Angelo.
Williams. Yep.
Williams,
And
D'Angelo. Yeah, D'Angelo Williams. Would you give it to them?
I would right now. I mean, because obviously this is Jaylen Warren's rookie year, so we don't have enough on field. I think Najee and Jaylen have the potential to surpass what Le'Veon and D'Angelo did. Because what was nice about Le'Veon and D'Angelo, if Le'Veon got hurt, D'Angelo, I mean, he didn't have the same size as L. Bell, but he was just as patient of a runner. He had the hands out of the backfield. I mean, they were the same running back.
You hit it right on the head. They was almost identical. And that's why I think that L. Bell and D'Angelo was so dangerous, because they both almost saw the game of football from the backfield the same way. Patience, hitting it, speed, you know what I'm saying? Aggression, power. They just knew. But me personally, if I had to go with my favorite Steelers all-time rushing back, in my opinion, I got to go with L. Bell. L. Bell, I mean, you got to think about the time and age of Franco's and Jerome Bettis is a total different time in the game that we see it now. I only could judge it based on how I look at the game from when I started watching the game. And when I started watching the game and started understanding the game, it's a different watching it and just watching as a fan and actually understanding the game. L. Bell created holes for the O-line that wasn't there sometimes because of his patience and his athletic ability to be able to not only just attack the line, but more so see it and cram it and get his body in tight spaces to be able to pop out and make a wiggle move. Stephon, their L. Bell goes 2-6 touchdown. You know what I mean? I thought that he ran with great patience, and he just had a knack for finding holes and filling it out, because sometimes he'll hit a hole and not even know it was there because he could just feel it. And I think he had a special eye, a special feel for the backfield. But now we can move on to the next. Whenever you finish.
Yeah, I know. I can't argue that, because I mean, if it wasn't for L. Bell's agent giving him very bad information to go sign with the Jets, I mean, why would you do that in the first place? But not taking the Pittsburgh deal, I mean, ultimately, obviously, it ruined Le'Veon's career in the NFL. But yeah, he had the potential to go down as, you know, the best running back in Pittsburgh history. But yeah,
he's fourth on the Steelers all-time rushing list. I mean, he only had only about 5,400 rushing yards all time as a Steeler, 35 rushing touchdowns from 2013 to 2017. So his career with the Steelers was an okay amount of time there, and I feel like he was very productive for the time that he's been there. And to be in such a short span, because I mean, you look at Franco, he's been there for a while, and you look at all these guys that's been there for, I'm saying, a great amount of time for these guys that's on this list. He's been there for maybe 4 or 5 years, 5 years there, and I mean, he had a short time there, and he had very productive numbers for a guy for that 5 years. So, I mean, L. Bell would have been my guy that I choose one of the best Steelers running back to ever come into Heinz Field at the time.
Yeah, talent-wise, you are 100% correct. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, what matters most is getting those Super Bowl wins in Pittsburgh. And sadly, you know, we didn't have the defense for a lot of those times to uphold that. And then when we did, you know, the Shazier injury happened, and that was Shazier was on his way to Defense Player of the Year that year. And it was just you were on the team that year, weren't you?
When I got there, Shazier was a coach. Was a coach.
So it was
not a coach, was an intern. So he was finishing his contract, though. He was just on the staff as a player. Yeah,
so I think it was the year before you got there then. But yeah, I mean, he was on track to be Defense Player of the Year. That was I 100% believe that was our Super Bowl year, and the year that Jesse James didn't catch the ball against the Patriots. Funny.
How funny.
But we would have had the 1 seed that the playoffs would have ran through Pittsburgh, and we would have been just fine. But now we can segue into our
season. It's coming to an end very soon. As we conclude week 16 in football right now, we conclude week 16, week 15, 16.
Yep.
I mean,
16. Yeah, next week 17, then 18. You know, speaking of
yep.
that, I am. You know, this Chargers game right now has playoff implications for the Steelers. Granted, they could still win, and the Dolphins lose out, and then a few other things happen, and we can get in, but we have like a 7% chance.
As we look at the AFC, you know what I'm saying, the AFC North right now, you know what I mean, Pittsburgh is currently sitting at third place mark right now with a 7-8 record, barely shy of being 500 right now. And, you know what I mean, they have a great chance right now of making it to the wild card. You know what I mean? They just got to continue to go on the path they're in, and they got to continue to play like they playing for something. Because last week when they played against the Raiders, they had a goal in mind to play for Franco. And I don't know, and I'm happy that they definitely got a win in such a moment like that where a lot of the fans came out to represent Franco and all the things. So they got a great win because they played for something. But they have to find that motive to play for something every week.
Who was that game-winning touchdown to again? Who was that guy?
My day one. My day one. You know who it is. Mr. Pickens himself. He is him. Get him the ball if you want to go to the Super Bowl. If not, if you want to lose, sit him on the bench. Because that's how you will find your way out of the playoffs very soon. So get day one the ball. Don't worry about the Pickens. I'm here to do it for you. You know what I mean? But I mean, like I said, the AFC North picture right now, yeah, Cincinnati's 11-4 right now. They're leading the AFC North right now. You know what I'm saying? Baltimore's trailing behind, shy of a game of 10-5 right now. You know what I mean? Then you have Pittsburgh at 7-8 and Cleveland at 6-9 record. So Cleveland right now, they kind of struggling right now behind. So Pittsburgh is very close to making it to the wild card. And like I said, they definitely have some tough games coming up. The reason why I say it's tough because it's the next one. And then it's only going to get tougher because you can't lose no more. You can't. If you Pittsburgh, you can't lose no more if you're trying to get into this wild card. So reason why the next one's going to be tough no matter who you playing against. It could be the Commanders. Don't matter. It's going to be tough because you got to win it. You know what I mean? And that's the crazy thing about football, man. When a team know you need this win to get to playoff, they're gonna bring their A game every day. Every play, you know what I mean? So,
and what's going to be shitty is at the end of the day, if the Steelers don't make the playoffs, it's ideally going to be because we lost to the Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins, and 2 of those 3 games are a result of who was the starting quarterback for those games. And I can tell you one thing: it wasn't Kenny Pickett. He came in the second half of the Jets game. He went off. He had 3 interceptions, but there was two tipped interceptions that weren't his fault. Claypool was really good with his hands. Thank you, Chicago, for that 33rd overall pick right now.
Definitely granted. But man, I totally agree with you, man. The dog Kenny Pickett has been a dog all year since he's been so. He had a few games we had growing pains, but it comes with being a young quarterback and learning the system. But I can tell you right now, this last game, he had one of his best games down the stretch when he really needed it. I feel like he sat in the pocket very patiently. I feel like he sat there and made all of his reads. And I feel like even when he scrambled to run, his pass was very accurately. He threw a few passes on the sideline to Deontay Johnson that were kind of like, oh shoot.
Oh, that out route was amazing.
That was super close to being picked. But it was so in the money that it was so risky that it was like, oh shit, wow, that's the best play I've ever seen this whole game. But that speaks to Pickett though. But that speaks to Pickett. You know what I'm saying? That speaks to Pickett, man. He's a very he's a risk taker, man. He don't mind letting his balls hang, you know what I'm saying, and do whatever it takes to win a game. You know what I mean? Fitting the tight windows, running on the run, directing traffic, throwing that motherfucker, fine move across the middle on the run. I mean, it just shows the type of competitor he is down the stretch. And I mean, we seen in the University of Pitt, and now you see it in the NFL level as he's getting more repetitions in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And before I get into the Kenny Pickett thing, the playoffs, and I did the math yesterday. I know there's a bunch of different, people have done the playoff scenarios and what needs to happen. The first leg happened yesterday, and that was the Packers beating the Dolphins. Then we need next week to the Seahawks and Patriots to win. I believe the Seahawks are playing the Dolphins, and the Patriots are playing the Jets. And then in week 18, we need the Bills and Jets to win. And in order for that to happen, we need to hope that the Bills are still fighting for the number 1 seed in week 18.
Definitely.
So they can clinch that, because if they're sitting their starters, I think the Bills are playing the Dolphins in Week 18, and that's going to be huge. And we have to win out, obviously.
Yeah. I'm about to say, all that sounds real good, but what starts at first is definitely Steelers taking care of business for themselves by winning out these next 2 games against a worthy opponent right now that's sitting at the top of the division behind who are they behind again? Cincinnati at 11-4 and the Ravens 10-5. So they're going against a very tough team right now. And I feel like right now, if you're the Steelers, man, you hurt. I don't know what you got. You need to find the best 11 to go out there on offense and defense to give you the best production every single play because you're going against a hot Baltimore team right now that's ready to come and kick your fucking ass in the AFC North matchup right now.
And we should have beat the Ravens last time too. Kenny Pickett got hurt in the second play of the game, and then Mitch Trubisky's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna throw it to the guys in the white jerseys.
Definitely,
He's
man.
Nah.
Once again, man, this is definitely be a great game, man. You got the Steelers on the road right now. On the road to Baltimore. It's going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be cold as a motherfucking balls and wieners out there right now.
Yep.
And you're going to have to get the Najee show going early because, catching the ball is going to be very difficult for receivers. Let's call it what it is. Its natural element does play a factor in football. Hands and fingers are element in catching. And when it's frozen like that, sometimes it's hard to catch a ball when you got a quarterback like Kenny that's slinging it 100 miles per hour, ripping gloves. So up front, you're going to need the big guys to move this chain for Najee to get rolling, and James Warner coming in and finish them off.
Yeah, and then and I can kind of segue into my Kenny Pickett talk because I told you I got some heat for the Kenny Pickett haters and the small hands talk. He proved all the doubters wrong. That's -7 degrees. He was slinging that ball. And I don't know if people know this, but in 30-degree weather, it is hard to throw a ball. It's ridiculously hard. And he had so much zip on that ball, and he was putting it where he wanted to. Obviously he missed a few throws, but if you look at Derek Carr on the other end and what the cold weather did to him, he threw 3 interceptions. He was missing high because it was cold. Kenny balled out.
And that's what I was going to say, man. The defense right there before we jump into the defense, man, Kenny, once again, not only was it a great game for Kenny, it was a great bounce-back game for Kenny coming from – he had a concussion recently, right? He had a concussion. That was his first game back, playing in that type of circumstances in the stadium where it's freezing cold in Pittsburgh. You're playing against a team where you need to win. A team that knows you need to win. Y'all both sitting at 6 and 8 at the time, and y'all both looking for a win. So that's definitely a battle of who wants him more. And Kenny definitely showed up. He didn't make excuses about him being out. Previously weeks, but he came in and showed out. For his team. And I think that's what they're gonna need more of leading to next week. I keep saying the Ravens, but they're gonna need more of that moving into this Ravens game.
And then because at the end of the game, I don't know if you watched the post-game show at all, but Steve Smith went in on Matt Canada. Like, he let him have it. He said they were, like, college-like plays. Like, there's no rhythm to his offense or anything like that. And then there was a report. Hold on, let me find it. Stand by. It was about Matt Canada. And it sounds like Ray, I don't know how to say his last name. Ray Fittipaldo. I know he's kind of a big time reporter out in Pittsburgh, but he was on 93.7 The Fan, quoting, "I fully expect the change to be made at the end of the season. The players know, the people inside the building know." So Matt Canada is gone, and I can't wait to see Kenny cook with those weapons with a competent offensive coordinator. And we're getting Calvin Austin back next year. That's 4.2 speed, if not faster than that.
I agree with that. Having a lot of speed like that. But you got to think about it, man. For my defense for Matt Canada runs a system that's built on speed. And he looks for a lot of guys like Calvin Austin. Najee definitely is a type of back he likes. But to be honest, his type of backs he likes is more of a McFarland. Shifty fast backs. That down the hill like that. It works in the league, but that's kind of not his style. His style is, I got to tell you before, his style is to break the defense in half. You know what I mean? He wants to get two plays going both ways to get defenses wondering where's the ball going. You know what I mean? When it works, it makes the defense look silly. I'm talking about plays gone, like gone. Jet sweeps are gone because defense all on the other side of the field blocking for a handoff when the ball already gone the other way. You know what I mean? So it definitely works. But my thing is once again, for my thing is to how can I say this to say why it doesn't work is because you're playing against smart NFL players. Mm-hmm. You're playing against guys and they know how to prepare. And college, I mean, I'm talking about it worked, man. It works. But in NFL, it's harder to consistently work because you only run a few plays. Yeah. You only run a select few plays, and they all start to look the same. You know what I mean? And what helps is what kind of sometimes you can hide behind is the speed and athleticism of the ball carriers that you hand them to because they're so athletic and fast, such as Calvin Austin. But once again, when you got now the NFL every day is getting more athletic and more faster, these ends are starting to be more patient and starting to see that and starting to make plays in the backfield because they're ready for it. So my thing is, if I'm at Canada now, how do I open this offense up a little bit more to keep the defense on their heels so they don't have to key in on our jet sweeps or key in on our motions? You know what I mean? But that's for him to figure out how does he do that to keep a job in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a 5-minute reel of hot mics of defenses going against their offenses yelling it's the same plays. I mean, I think my honest opinion, the offense has improved, and I think a lot of that has to do with Najee just deciding to run through people now rather than what he was doing at the beginning of the year. I think that's changed a lot of the aspects of the offense, and we still need to get George Pickens involved more. I think he still only had 4 targets in the last game. He caught all 4.
And back to Steve Smith. Steve Smith, I see his quote. Steve Smith says on NFL Network Saturday night from Steelers Stadium, Acrisure Stadium, I'm not saying this play calling is Saturday, and this is even though today is Saturday. He said even though today is Saturday, but today is actually Sunday football, and that type of play call is not going to work here, not on this level. His calling is Saturday plays on a Sunday. So basically, he's saying his play calling is Saturday style football, which is college football type of plays trying to be played on Sundays. And that's exactly what you said, man. That's the exact quote. And I like that how he didn't call them amateur plays. Basically, just say those plays are Saturday plays and not Sunday plays. And I agree with Steve Smith. You know, I agree with Steve Smith because of the simple fact that Matt Cannon had to add something to add an actual real foundation to his repertoire. That should be a special package now that he's an NFL offensive coordinator. That has to be his specialty package. That can't be his main foundation because that's not NFL. Running side on the sideline NFL, bro. Linebackers and D linemen can run side on the sideline these days and age. In college, you got undisciplined freshmen, 19, 18-year-old. But you're playing against grown men that want to make tackles and make plays. You know what I mean? Because that's how they feed their family. Those plays gotta be improved, and he has to understand he has to go to some coaches clinic this offseason and figure out a new way to game plan to come back if he wants to still remain a coach here in Pittsburgh.
That he will not be remaining a coach in Pittsburgh. At least I hope not.
We shall see.
I sure hope not.
If something changes out of nowhere and they go to the playoffs and go all the way to the Super Bowl with these play calls, he will still be here.
Oh yeah, if that happens, then yes. I think everybody will forget, everything Matt Canada has done to us prior to that. So if we win the Super Bowl, Matt Canada keeps his job. I think, honestly, if we win a playoff game, maybe even make it to the playoffs, he might keep his job.
Definitely.
But now we can kind of bounce into this. We've kind of gone over it a little bit already. But this Raiders-Steelers game recap.
Yes. Man, I mean, where do we start at? To the defense, the fantastic defensive play, or do you start off with a great offensive confidence behind the Steelers offense this week, man? I don't know which way to go, man, because I'm fired up about it. As I watched the game over and over, man, I'm just excited for some of the secondary, man, the Pittsburgh, man. They came to show up, man. They showed up. Anytime Dirk Carr threw any BS up in the air, it was stolen every single time. I mean, I'm looking at it. They had 3 takeaways in the secondary, you know what I mean? Had 3 takeaways in the secondary, you know what I mean, from Moulette, Sutton, and Minka. I mean, those guys came to play. All of them had 3 picks alone. those three guys, and Arthur Mollett had a 12-yard return for interception. I mean, not for this interception. So the secondary definitely played well. He took away had 3 takeaways. So while the defense was flying around, man. They made plays.
Yeah, other than the first drive of the game where the Raiders marched down the field and scored, like they did that, I thought it was gonna be a long game. But they held the NFL's leading rusher to, I think it was like 45 yards. You have the stats up, so it was like 45 to 48 yards or something like that.
Josh Jacobs had a 15 carries for 44 yards, man. His longest run was 11 yards. Najee had, of course, more yards than him, had 53 yards rush on the ground and 16 carries. His longest was 14. So it was slightly off, but mainly almost even there. So the rush and attack was kind of even.
And James Pierre stepped up when he was called in, because when he came into the game, he was on Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams had 2 catches for like 17 yards. Granted, he was open on quite a few plays. Just Derek Carr sailed on the ball.
Wow, as I look at it, Devontae Adams had a quiet night. And Pierre, wow, I take my up to Pierre, man. Pierre, he came in around the same time I came in as a walk-on, and he's still there. He's still there proving why he deserved to be that guy.
Yeah.
To hold Devontae Adams to 2 receptions, 15 yards, man. That's kudos to James Pierre. Definitely a guy that's going to be in the league for a while, doing it at a high level when his time is appropriately coming. So, but other than that, man, like I said, man, the offense was stellar, man. It was every play. It seemed that they had a purpose. And they didn't always make the right calls out there. That's why it was such a tight game down the stretch. But my favorite drive was the victory drive. That last drive, and Pickett was just slinging it. I don't think he had not one hiccup that whole drive, and he knew that he was determined to score. And at the time, it was like, maybe a minute and 15 seconds left, and he drove the whole field to go score, to hit. Pickett in the back of the end zone for a touchdown like that, man. It was just like, wow. The Steelers have such confidence, more confidence than they really know, and some kind of way it got to get brought out for them to win these next 2 games down the stretch.
And the offense's confidence, reels off of, the quarterback's confidence. And, I'll kind of say this. Kenny Pickett may not have, like, elite, arm strength, elite, mobility. He's very good at all of those things. His accuracy is on point 9 times out of 10. But that man's got elite confidence. You cannot say that man's not confident walking into a building saying he's going to go win this game. For a rookie, that's impressive.
Definitely. And once again, like, for him to go in those certain type of circumstances, 6 degrees out there in Pittsburgh last week, and for him to be 26 or 39 with 244 yards passing, it's not a super lot of yards, but in a game where it should have been more of a run attack, it was totally opposite. It was more of a passing attack. Yeah. And of course, he threw 1 interception. It's NFL football. Like I said, I'm not making excuses for the kid, but it's cold weather out there. Sometimes the ball's gonna come off a little wrong, and whatever the case may be. But when we needed it most, Pickett was there to make the plays, and I'm talking about scram out of the pocket and find and fire and move right in the middle, which is like, wow, this kid got something about him, and he made some great clutch plays, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and these next few years, we had the killer bees. We're about to have the killer peas between Kenny Pickett, Pat Freiermuth, and your day one, George
Pickens. Yes. Big P. Because we pushing P, baby. We pushing P, man. We pushing P. You know what I mean? And I think those 3, man, gonna definitely is kind of, and it's crazy because they so young, man. And what I'm saying, they gonna be able to connect so well. You know what I mean? As long as they stay together, man, they continue to move on these years, they will be the leaders of that team. You know what I mean? Especially on offense. You know what I mean? You can just see it. They have such a great connection now, and they've been on it together for maybe a year, some change. So, man, I'm excited for them.
And I think the key part to that game-winning drive is if you look at who was targeted on that drive, it was, Pat had 2 or 3 receptions on that drive. Najee had 2 dump offs, and George obviously caught the game-winning touchdown at the end. I mean, that to me, no disrespect to Deontay Johnson, because he, in my opinion, is an elite route runner. It's just the consistency that hasn't been there, and he had a hell of a game on Saturday as well.
I
But
was definitely
I
gonna
mean,
say Deontay
the
definitely
off,
came and showed up.
yeah, the offense just it just feels like it has to run through George, Pat, and Najee.
Definitely.
And then when Deontay's open, he gets his. But I mean, the fact that George Pickens has 4 targets, and this is a constant theme every week, is he's only getting 4 targets, and his contested catch rate is like he's number 1 in the NFL, I believe, in contested catch rate right now.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that. I really believe that George Pickens is a very aggressive receiver, and he's very combative when it comes to getting the ball up in the air. And that's hands down. Everyone knows that about the young cat. And as I look at the stats here, I look at Pat Freiermuth for 7 receptions, 66 yards. Deontay with 5 receptions, 64 yards. Pickens 5 receptions, 57 yards. Najee with 6 receptions and 42. I mean, you got Najee with almost second. He had second most receptions. He's a running back. Over all your great receivers, like why is he getting that many receptions out the backfield?
So
He
he got a lot of those receptions. He got a lot of those receptions on the last drive because the Denzel Perryman he dislocated a shoulder or something and got knocked out of the game. So on that game winning drive, Najee's he's doing that little curl route from the running back position, and they're just leaving the middle of the field wide open. So he had I think 2 receptions on that drive alone based off of that. And,
it's just crazy, man. It's no way that, man, like I said, Pickens and Tate should have more targets, man. These are your pillars to your outside receivers right now. And, of course, Pat Freiermuth should be up there too. But Najee, man, if you're my best running back, man, you need more carries. You need more carries.
Yeah.
Give him 30, man. I think he's a back that you look at like another Derrick Henry. Give him 30 carries a game, man. If you want to bring back that old school hard-nosed Franco running attack, you need to give Najee the ball more. Let him run. 50 yards for the type of player of his caliber is unacceptable. Josh Jacobs, 44 yards. I mean, cool. But Najee Harris is a bruising back that wears defenses down. He needs the ball 30 times a game. And you have and think about it, you have a backup in James Warren that can help deliver a little bit of blows as well too, because he's a big body back as well. But Najee needs more carries down the stretch, and you need to get more of your playmakers on the outside. The more reception. More receptions and more targets. George Pickens, Deontay, Pat Freiermuth. Get those guys, man. Get those guys in double-digit figures, man. Get those guys. I mean, I don't think I've seen Najee with a 100-plus rushing game, and I don't think I've seen Deontay as one of the leaders and older guys in that room with over 100 yards receiving yet.
Yeah, Deontay doesn't have. I know Deontay doesn't have a touchdown yet this year, but I mean, I think I don't really take away from the running game because Najee did run really well in that game. It was just I think for some reason the game plan was to pass the ball. I mean, you see it. Kenny had 39 pass attempts.
Yep.
I mean, negative 7-degree weather.
You just said something very crazy to me. Deontay doesn't even have a touchdown this season. 0 touchdowns this season. He has 809 total yards receiving and only 82 receptions. And he's 12th in the league of that. He's 26th in the league for yards of 809. And he's literally last in the league of touchdowns. Literally 129th. I mean, he's tied for that. I mean, his numbers is literally piss poor right now. And like once again, it could be play calling, it could be Matt Canada, that could be who knows. But for your star receiver, your guy that you just spent money on to have these type of numbers, if I'm coming in game planning against Deontay, I'm not worried about him getting the ball.
I'll say it's Matt Canada and the fact that Mitch Trubisky started the first 3.5 games.
Hey, for whatever reason it is, but guess what? They got to get it figured out real soon if they're trying to be a playoff contender right now. Because right now, if I'm looking at these stats the last game, they don't have no one that's jumping out the shots. It's very even. You know what I mean?
That's a good thing. I mean, they're spreading the ball out to the playmakers. I mean, everybody you named is somebody you want to have the ball in the game.
Yeah,
it's the only problem is they're not finishing drives.
And I got to give another crazy stat right now before we end up moving on is Kenny Pickett was sacked 0 times this game.
Yeah.
Wow. Give it up to the offensive line, man. I got to give it to the offensive line for that one.
Yep.
Kudos to them, man. They kept that boy upright because, man, you know what kind of hurt to hit that grass and that freezing cold for Kenny.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
along the opposite side, Carr was sacked 3 times. Wow.
Yeah. Cam had 2 of those. Cam was balling.
Yeah, Cam had he was definitely been a
Yeah.
specimen in that inside. You know, what I mean,
Yeah.
got to give it to Cam, man.
Who
Cam
was a
made that.
Pro Bowl snub, following with the other guy who had a sack in that game, Alex Highsmith, who now has 12 sacks on the year, who also didn't get voted into the Pro Bowl, but he is an alternate. TJ got
Cam,
voted into the Pro Bowl. He's only played 7 games.
and that's crazy because I had to talk about this Pro Bowl thing with I had a Pro Bowl talk with someone and was talking about how some of these things are very politics. You know what I mean? And that's the sad part about who vote. My thing, question: who makes these votes for the Pro Bowl? Is it truly the fans, or is it actually a committee that says, "Okay, we got the fans in, they voted in. Okay, keep that pile over here." Caleb, what do you think should go to the Pro Bowl? Is it that what's really going on? I want to know because me personally, I don't think that the votes are really being counted. I think the votes is just something as a backup to say we did it, and they kick it to the side, and it's actually a round table of guys that say, "Well, Cam, I would take TJ, but he only played 6 games. Fans still want to see TJ," and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? And I think that's unfair. I mean,
and that's where
just my judgment.
That's where I think it's the fan votes, because if you're not obviously not many people outside of Pittsburgh know who Alex Highsmith is, and the fact that he has 12 sacks and is, I think, 7th in the league in sacks right now. But TJ missed, 6 or 7 games this year, and he got voted into the Pro Bowl. It just shows you that there's lazy fans out there who are just voting for the name rights, which, granted, obviously, if TJ plays the entire season, he's making the Pro Bowl regardless because he'd have the numbers to back it up.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
It just sucks for, Alex, because he is having a great year, and he's going to get paid. I think Pittsburgh's going to pay him. I hope that they do. I like
12
him
sacks,
TJ.
5 forced fumbles, you know what I mean, 32 solo tackles. I mean, he's balling. I mean, he's in top 10 in most of his categories. He's balling. You know what I mean? He's tied for first with forced fumbles. You know what I mean? He's tied for 7th with most sacks in the season for all the different pass rushers. So, Highsmith, man, a guy that's coming out of Charlotte, man, he's definitely has improved every year. And I think that's great for him as a player like him. Has been underdog. He will continue to improve.
And then here's one prediction for this next offseason. I don't think Bud Dupree is going to be a Tennessee Titan next year. I think he is going to be in a 3-man rotation back in Pittsburgh.
I can agree with that.
Loved it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I can agree with that. You know, me playing with Bud and Tennessee, just as I look at Tennessee and I look at the way Bud is being used, it's just like he's not really getting freed up to make the impact he deserves. And I think Bud, when he came there on a hot streak of killing tackles. You know what I mean? Shoving tackles into the quarterback. Him and TJ has been just 2 pillars on the edge. And then right now, when I go there and I actually watched the game this past week when they was playing this past Saturday, and I look at Bud, it's just like Bud's just a guy out there. He doesn't make plays. He's not a guy, but that's not a knock at Bud because you never know what goes into that. But it's not a lot of scheme for Bud to make plays at. You know what I mean? I think that sucks for Bud because it makes his value go down when it comes to him being paid again. His value goes down because he didn't make no plays.
I think what was vital in that is, obviously there's not a TJ Watt on the other side. Because, with Bud's, that's what was beautiful. In Bud's last year in Pittsburgh before he tore his ACL, TJ was obviously getting double teamed, still getting sacks, but Bud was just so fast. And if Bud comes back, I don't think he's the opposite starting linebacker. I think it'll still be Highsmith, and Bud's that rotational guy who will give, Alex and TJ, breaks here and there. Which, granted, we still need it.
I don't know. I think Bud might come in and take a starting spot. I don't know. I think Bud has a motor still there, man. I just think that it's just not being reflected. It's not being shown right now because his numbers. And it sucks because Bud is a hell of a player, and I think Bud, he's such an athletic, big body build on the edge right there with speed and tenacity on the edge that he fit. The tackles fear that type of things with speed and aggression like that. And like I said, I like Highsmith a lot. but I think Highsmith is not as aggressive as Bud. Bud was breaking tackles down, and I'm seeing firsthand, dog. I mean, he beat tackles up to the point they fall starting. I don't think Highsmith is scared of tackles like that. The only thing worried about when it comes to Highsmith is just don't let him hit a spin move. Don't let him do a
Yeah,
spin
that
move
spin
or
move is nasty.
some type of
Yeah.
chop or rip through. That's all Highsmith has. And I mean, I'm not calling this stuff out, but I mean, me from a player, that's all he has. Bud has speed, and he has literally this jump cross chop that he do to propel himself around. And then when you mix that down the stretch, when you mix that with the speed, the power of Bull, oh my God, he's knocking tackles over. That's why I think he was so effective in Pittsburgh. I mean, yes, he was getting double teamed. I mean, TJ was getting double teamed on the other side. No, I mean, we ain't taking the credit away from TJ, but his aggression, man. I'm talking about, man. Bud, I think he comes back to Pittsburgh. I think Bud is coming to starter. I think Highsmith is a rotational guy on third now.
See, like we said, I think Bud will end up back in Pittsburgh. There's no way, in my opinion, with the year Alex has had, that he's going to be the rotational guy. I mean, because they take them off the field a lot. It's ridiculous to me. Like the fact that I think it's Jameer Jones, he comes in for TJ, and it's the fourth quarter. And I don't understand why you're taking
Jameer
TJ
Jones
out of the game.
Jameer Jones, is that Jerron Jones' little brother? Big brother, little brother?
I don't know.
Jameer Jones, what school did he go to? Did he go to Notre Dame?
Let's find out. Maybe.
Let's find out. I think Jameer Jones is Jerron. Remember Jerron Jones that was there when I was there?
Yeah, was he? I know he was a linebacker.
Yes, Jameer Jones.
Yeah, he was
Jameer
at Notre
Jones
Dame.
is definitely the. Yep, that's Jerron's little brother. Wow, so he left Pittsburgh. He started out with somewhere else, got picked up by Pittsburgh, left Pittsburgh, went to the Chargers, I think, left the Chargers, and now he's back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, wow. He went Houston, Pittsburgh, Rams, Jags, Steelers.
Jags too, yeah. Back to Steelers, yeah.
So he's in that rotation, and I like Malik Reed. He isn't what we thought he would be, but I don't know if he'll get retained. But if you could tell me that we can retain Malik Reed and then have Bud Dupree and have that 4-man rotation right there. Also, another prediction, J.J. Watt will be a Steeler in the offseason.
I can see that coming. I can see J.J. taking a pay cut. You know what I mean? Or some kind of way to play with.
We got like $100 million in cap space coming up because obviously Ben retired and that freed up a lot of money.
If I'm in the front office of Pittsburgh, I'm not cashing out with JJ. One, he's getting older. Two, you know what I mean, he's yet to play a full season. You know what I mean, he be getting hurt. He's very injury prone. It's just like I can understand why you want to, because the sound of TJ and JJ is a very scary sight when you hear that two names put together. You know what I mean? Yeah. Two defensive player of their years. You know what I mean? Playing beside each other. That's a scary thing to imagine. But the reality thing is JJ won't give you a full season. You know what I mean? If he's rotational, he may give you a full season.
And that's what I think very possible. I think that's what he would end up being, because in my dream scenario is obviously Cam's going to retire a Steeler when he decides he's done. Our rookie DeMarvin Leal, I think he's going to be the eventual replacement for Hayward when that time comes. And then Larry Ogunjobi is on a 1-year contract right now. I hope he gets retained. You bring in J.J. Watt, and they like to rotate those guys in on the defensive line, give people breaks, just like they do on the linebacker position, and not necessarily the DB position, but in that front seven, they like to rotate. And if you have that rotation with Cam, Leal, Ogunjobi, J.J. Watt, and then, possibly, another rookie defensive tackle or someone we pick up in free agency because defensive tackle's a need, that could be lethal.
Definitely. But, man, hey, we shall see. The season is concluding very soon, and we will begin to playoff ball, man. Our hopes and dreams that the Steelers definitely finish strong, that they continue to lean on their 8 players what Tom used to always say, the A players need to come and play A games. So I'm hoping all the A-list players show up, man, which is Kenny Pickett. I know you're a young player, but you are leaned on as a captain now, as a guy that they look at to run the offense. So we're going to need big plays out of Kenny. We're going to need some of our pillars on the edges, Deontay, fire move in the middle, Najee, and George Pickens to step up and make huge plays. And you cannot leave out the O-line. The O-line played a phenomenal game last week. We're going to need that for these next 2 games to get at least even a mention of opportunity to even make it to the wild card. We're going to need great games out of the O-line. Defense, they got to continue to be the head of the team. The defense is what keeps this team going. I mean, I got to give it to the defense, and I mean, they always been great, even when I was there. You know what I mean? The defense is always what led the team. You know what I mean? Defense win games. So, I mean, I hate that term, but it's true. Defense wins games, man. The offense scores points and sells tickets, man. But defense wins games.
I mean, all we need is a chance. You know, I would like to think that this. I don't know. It's hard to think if this team could beat last year's team because, you know, Ben would just kind of take over the offense, call his own plays, and they put up 35 points. So that one's kind of tough. And TJ he's still not 100% because, I mean, he had 22 and a half sacks last year. Should have been 23, but that's a different story.
But, as we move into our last segment, man, we do got to touch on the Ravens and Steelers game coming up, you know what I mean, on the 1st. You know what I mean? That's a game that's going to be very clutch for the Steelers, you know what I mean? They're going to have it's very important. Where I said the next game is very important because it's the next one. You know what I mean? And the next one after that is going to be important because it's the next one. But we have to definitely hit on this Ravens game. I mean, they're a hot team right now, man. And they're a hot team. They are one of the division second leaders to, I'm saying, Cincinnati is playing great right now. But what do you think the Steelers need to do right now to come away with victory?
I think that Mitch Trubisky doesn't need to step on the field, so hopefully there's fingers crossed, nothing happens like the last game because I mean we should have won the last game and we had 3 because Mitch had 3 turnovers in the red zone. Like those are points. We lost by I believe it was 2 or 3 points. And, you know, we were in field goal range for 3 of those possessions, and there's 9 points right there. I mean, I think we have the talent to beat the Ravens, even if Lamar Jackson plays. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I don't think he's really ever had a good game against us. We always seem to play really well against him and bottle him up, kind of make him throw the ball, which, you know, he's a decent thrower of the football, but he's not great. But I mean, I think the Steelers are going to pull this one out. It's probably going to be another close game. I'm going to go 20-17. And George Pickens is going to, you know, have another touchdown catch. Najee's going to score a rushing touchdown. And Boz is going to nail like a 47-yarder. Well, I guess it would be 2 field goals. So he would have definitely a 47-yarder, and we'll go 51.
Definitely. But I gotta call it what it is right now. I mean, the Steelers team is definitely trying to find themselves, and I really think the Steelers is definitely going to do what they need to do to take care of business. But I mean, this is once again, I keep saying it's a hot Ravens team right now. I mean, they have all their guys playing at a high level. Me personally, I think for the Steelers to even come away with the opportunity to even be in a close game, they have to contain the Ravens star players. Mark Andrews right now is a guy that's literally a great target for Lamar. I mean, he's always his bailout. Mark Andrews, veteran tight end. You know what I mean? Everyone knows he's a name around the league. Everyone knows Mark Andrews is. I mean, he almost right now he's closing in 1,000 yards receiving yards right now on the year. You know what I mean? Right now, it shows you right now he's receiving. He has more than I think he has more than Deontay, I think, maybe. Close to it. Close about the same amount Deontay has this season. And he's a tight end. Probably. So that shows you how much the ball is going to him. You know what I mean? And then you got to think about some of the leaders on their team rushing. I mean, a rushing leader right now is kind of funny, but Lamar Jackson, you have to contain this guy running the ball. I mean, Highsmith, I know he wants to spin. I know TJ likes to sometimes do his own thing with taking the inside move. That inside move from him and Highsmith will get you beat. The reason why I say we'll get you beat because he's a guy that can really feel that shit, and he will roll out this pocket and embarrass your safeties in the open space. So we have to contain him running the ball. Passing the ball, he's very how you say, he's very obtainable. You know what I mean? He's not a crazy passer. He's not that. But he's dangerous with his legs, and he's dangerous hitting that tight end. You know what I mean? And that's kind of football 101 for the Ravens. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, really.
But let me get opportunity.
Oh yeah, do your prediction.
And my prediction right now, and like I said, I think that right now I just got to give it to the. I want to give it to the Steelers right now, but I'm gonna give it to the Ravens right now. The Ravens is gonna be a close game. I think the defense is gonna keep them into the game, but I would give it I don't know, say like a 24-17 Ravens win right now, and it
it's gonna be a close game. It's always a close game.
It's a division round game, and it's late football, man. It's late football. It's gonna be Steelers gonna come out hot. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a great game all through the season, all through the whole game. But I just think that Lamar's going to pull it out, you know what I mean, with his legs and him finding his A-list players like Mark Andrews, man. That's going to be a guy that I'm telling you right now is going to have a big game.
Yeah, and that's, I think a lot is going to play into what happened because that game got flexed to Sunday night. Obviously, it's Steelers-Ravens games, and as of right now, there's playoff implications. But if it doesn't fall in the Steelers' way in those early games on Sunday, they could be eliminated from the playoffs before they even play. And that's the morale in that locker room is gonna be down. They're still gonna play hard, but it's gonna be in the back of their head, and it could affect gameplay essentially. But we also gotta stop. We gotta stop the run. Last game they had 220 yards rushing against us. And since then, we held the Panthers, who have been running over everybody, to 17 yards rushing. And then, obviously, we held Josh Jacobs to 44 this last week. So if they continue on that pace, we should be okay.
Yeah, and like I said, as long as the Steelers contain Lamar Jackson as their leading rusher and their leading passer, I mean, you stop him, man, and actually stop him by putting a hit on him to slow him down. You know what I mean? We can live with J.K. Dobbins getting the ball on handoffs. You know what I mean? J.K. Dobbins is a great running back, but he's definitely no Lamar Jackson running the ball. Lamar Jackson's a dangerous guy. And once again, stop Mark Andrews in the middle, and we should be – it should be a close game right now. All we're going to need is Kenny Pickett to use his clutch ways to be able to put the ball where it needs to be into his playmaking hand. Fire move, Pickens, Tay. You should see yourself key yourself to victory. But once again, I'm going 24-17. Ravens win at home in M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, we got Derwin with the 24-17 Ravens prediction. I'm going the 20-17 route. So we're every prediction we've had this year has been, very close. It seems to flip flop every now and then. I think the Jets game we were way off. We both said we were going to win that game, but that didn't happen. But I want to thank everybody for watching to our extended episode of the Terrible DGAF.
It was a very needed show, man. I think Caleb, we very needed. It was a very needed show, man.
Yes.
We've been off a couple weeks, man. I've been sick, but I'm back, man, with the heat. You brought the heat. It was a fun show, man. We talked about all around the Steelers talk. Man, I'm excited, man, to get back next week, man, to be able to close in, and hopefully we can say that the Steelers merge their way to victory to keep their playoff and wild card dreams alive. You know what I mean? And that's what we're hoping for right now. But once again, thank y'all for joining us on the Terrible DJF show, man, with me, D. Gray, and my co-host, man, Swaggy Caleb in the building, man. We'll see y'all next week, man, with the game recaps and predictions.
And you can catch us on Warzone, baby.
Know it.
Franco Harris. Flex from Dallas. And a handoff to Franco Harris and Randy White. Hit first and 10. The Cowboys lead 6-0 as Franco Harris breaks into the secondary, and Franco Harris is gone. A 61-yard touchdown run by Franco Harris. There he is.